Hello and welcome to the Flurza experience, or how we always start, Dzień dobry dzieci, but you might see a difference. I'm joined by someone else. There's no Flake, so this is not Flurza technically, but I'm joined by Ghost Arya. Arya, hello. What are you doing in Flake's place?
Hey, well, you're gonna have to find out if Flake's even still alive. You don't know. Maybe I'm the new Flake.
Oh, nice. So to get you up to speed, whenever we start a Flurza Experience podcast episode, Flake always comes up with a funny name for me, connected normally to sweets or cycling and stuff like that. Do you have anything in terms of like a weird introduction?
Ooh, sweets or sweets? I don't know. You could be the sour captain today, I guess.
The Sour Captain. I'll take it. Fun fact: I actually like sour like gummy bears and so like all that type of jazz.
Me
So the
too.
sour ones, yeah, the sour
Good.
ones are better than the sweet ones. I totally
Yeah,
agree.
I agree.
Awesome. Perfect. All right, we agree on that for sure. All right, this is episode 17. And Flake is not here, but we always say what we're going to be talking about. So today we'll be talking about feedback in card games and how players give us feedback, what we do with the feedback. Is feedback good? Is it bad? Maybe sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad. But feedback is kind of the ongoing topic, especially now. I feel like in the Gwent community, but always kind of in card games.
Yeah, and
Um, hmm?
I guess it's always good to have places to talk about feedback. It just depends how it's given, right?
Exactly, exactly. That is one of the most important things. And as always, we will start with the Dagon rumor report.
Ooh.
So I thought I was going to have something clever for you today, but I don't. But yeah, we as you know, had this week a scheduled maintenance
Mm-hmm.
in which we were scouting our servers to find any traces of Dagon.
Ooh. Okay.
And while going through the metaverse and trying to find them. We even hooked ourselves up into the game, into the matrix, like you do in Cyberpunk with this Neuralink.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, we found the traces of 0% of Dagon. So no, Dagon is not happening. Sorry.
No, Dagon. Oh no.
No,
Maybe it's good
no.
that Flake's not here to hear this.
Yeah. I think that by now, by episode 17, he kind of expects what's going to happen. So I feel like he would not be very, very surprised. But yeah, no Dagon. Arya, what do you think about Dagon overall? Would you want Dagon back or you don't care about him?
Of course, I would like Dagon back.
Okay.
I'm a huge Witcher 1 fan. I really enjoy
Hmm.
the game, and so that would be kind of a piece of it in Gwent, right?
Yeah, agreed. Did you have a favorite quest in Witcher 1? Or did you just like the setting of the overall game and kind of the Salamandra being there and all the cool stuff?
I like the overall setting, but definitely my favorite parts were those around the Lady of the Lake and stuff like that. I feel
Yeah.
like that had very summery vibe, uh, with the usual bittersweetness of the Witcher world. But it was
Yeah.
very nice. Yeah.
Yeah, agreed. It's a little like high fantasy, you could say,
Mm-hmm.
Arthurian to some extent, but with the kind of gray Witcher world mixed
Mm-hmm.
into it.
And
Yeah,
you know what?
totally.
I actually have like a physical box of The Witcher 1 because
Hmm.
I just randomly
Same.
found it in a game shop once for like maybe
Oh,
$3.
nice.
And that actually started my whole Witcher experience. Just randomly finding this game on sale and be like, oh, looks nice. I'm gonna bring it home.
Nice. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I need to have you on Twig one of those days because so I can hear your origin story when it comes to everything Witcher related. But yeah, for me, I also had this. There was this big, thick like box edition of The Witcher 1
Mm-hmm.
that I also had, and they're very hard to like come by,
Mm,
especially now because it was one of the first editions. It also had like a soundtrack, I think, and some other stuff in it. So it was kind of like a
nice.
beefier edition. Yeah,
Yeah.
well, that was a really cool one. I agree.
Yeah.
All right,
Okay.
moving on. We
What
have
have
the
you got?
Wayback Machine.
Ooh.
So in the Wayback Machine, we go way back into Gwent's history and see what has been happening in a given month. But instead of that, for this one, we thought it would be really cool to talk about an article that we did with IGN which highlights our history of Gwent. So from the times of The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt and after the launch of Witcher 3, all the way up till now. And what we've learned through the process, there are quotes from Vlad, there are quotes, of course, from Jason Slama, and from me talking about the history of the game and kind of what we learned from it. There's some cool imagery from the old challengers that we did in the crazy locations, plus a couple trailers. So I highly encourage everyone to check it out because it was a pleasure. And shout out to Ryan Dinsdale, who from IGN approached us and has been pretty much in contact with us when it comes to cool articles and stuff connected to Gwent. So shout out to Ryan. He's awesome. As every Ryan, I've never met an uncool Ryan. And yeah, so head up IGN. It's also on Twitter. It's also everywhere. I think all of us shared it. So highly recommend everybody to check it out.
Nice.
And yeah, that's it.
And I think that since you mentioned the history of Gwent, it might be actually better for me to call Flake in, and he can give you some actual, insight and help with the podcast. And I'll go back to vacationing.
Yeah, let's have him back. Although I enjoyed having you Arya over instead of him, to be honest. It's nice to freshen things up.
Yeah, I enjoyed being here. Maybe I'll come back some other time. Okay, he
Yes,
really
for
wants
sure.
me gone. Hey, enjoy
Take
the
care.
podcast.
Catch you later.
Take care.
I apologize for that intrusion.
No, we did fine. It was great.
Did
it was
you?
A great introduction. Yes.
Can I take a wild guess? What was the percentage of likelihood of Dagon returning? Is it still 0?
Yeah.
Hell yeah. Good to know nothing changes. I'm glad that
when we checked, we actually had maintenance this week on Gwent.
Yes.
And I said that during that maintenance, we pretty much hooked ourselves up to the servers and we scoured through the whole like metaverse or cyberverse or whatever with our neural links and stuff like that, and we found out that it's 0% chance, no traces of Dagon in the servers.
That's
He's
good.
gone.
It's like spring cleaning, right? Like you went in there, you moved some boxes around, you looked through some old cupboards, and you're like, I still can't find them. It is what it is, all right?
Don't you hate when that happens when you're looking for a specific card? When you have a lot of cards in the
Oh
box
my
and you're looking for one or like 2 copies of something. I remember I was looking for a Goblin Electromaster recently, and I was like, I for sure have like 5 copies of that.
Dominaria?
And I was looking. Yeah, I think it was like he was reprinted, but I think he was also imprinted in Dominaria. And I was trying to find him, and I could not find him. And he was like in the last box. There was like 3 copies in one row. I was like, Jesus Christ!
Yeah.
I had to like go through everything.
Those kinds of feelings for me stemmed from when I was like 4 or 5 years old playing Lego, and I just have like my big bin of Lego, and I'd be trying to build something, and I knew there was like I have one little wheel or one little lever or one little door. I'm like, I need it. And I can't continue until I find it. So I'd have to go through all of my Lego to find that one minute piece. It would take me like 30 minutes just crushing through it to find one piece. And if I didn't find the piece, I would just abandon the project because I'd be like, well, this is just useless now. So
you would not. I would just look for it until like I think Legos also is what like taught me resilience and kind of following things through, because I would look for that one piece and look until I found it. And once I found it, I was like, okay, now I can complete my masterpiece.
Well, if it's not a masterpiece for me, if I can't find the piece, that it's not
you'll find it eventually.
Well,
maybe if you in your mind, in the back of your head, know that you have that piece, you will sooner or later find it.
But it's just like it'll consume you. It's like frustrating, right? And I get it with cards too, because I'm the same way. I'm like, I know I have this one card. It's this random stupid common, and the consequence of that for me was because since I hate that feeling so much, I have organized all my cards by set and then by alphabetical order. So.
Wow.
I had to, because it was the absolutely only way I was going to be able to find the card that I needed when I needed it. So I literally invested an entire weekend to pull out all my thousands and thousands of cards, and especially the Flesh and Blood ones, and just organize them, like separate them by set, then by class, then alphabetical. And I was like, okay, now if I need something, it's like, I need a Ranger Ice Arrow. It's called this. All right. Pull out the set that it's in. Go to the Ranger stuff. Alphabetical order. Blah, 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 blah. There it is. Ice Bolt. Bam. Got it. Perfect. Easy. Like that. But this is all off the back of a history where I just am in my room at 5 years old searching for that one little windshield piece for a car that I'm building with Lego and getting frustrated. So deep rooted is this organizational beast within me, for sure.
Yeah, I totally get it. I have the same thing, but I need to still organize my cards, and it's something that I've been kind of putting off. And the problem with this is that my collection is ever growing, and the more you push it aside, the more work you will have later. But I probably need to sort them like by color and rarity. I think that would be the best. Maybe not by set, but color and rarity for Magic, I think makes a lot of sense. And it's on my list. It's on my list.
It's a big undertaking, I tell you. Absolutely.
It's a whole weekend out of your schedule.
For sure. That's how I started organizing my Magic cards, was by color. And then I was like, oh, I need this one angel, but that all my white cards, like this gigantic box, they were not organized within that. So it still took me a while to like sort through them. I'm like, oh, here it is. Sarah Angel. Got it. Perfect. Like
there's also these like apps that let you track the physical cards that you have, and you can like make a digital version of your collection, but that doesn't help you actually find it.
No, it doesn't help you find it.
The box, right?
That's just additional work in my mind. Like, okay, now I have to go through every card and scan it on my phone like thousands and thousands of times. I'm like,
although I would like to digitalize my collection to kind of, I think it's much easier to keep track of it later, but then I'm also afraid if I digitalize my collection, I will look at the price tag of it and I'll be like, oh my God, how much money did I spend on these?
Yeah, how much money did you spend, but how much money can you make if you sell them?
True.
All right. So from what I understand, that the Wayback Machine is going to be sort of substituted by a wonderful article actually that was written by IGN. If I'm not mistaken, was it who wrote it?
Oh my God, Dinsdale.
Ryan Dinsdale. That's it.
We covered this with Ari already a little bit.
Oh, you did? Okay.
We can have you talking also about the article.
Well, I mean,
you're quoted in it.
I am. I was interviewed for it several months ago, and I wasn't aware of when it was going to come out or whatnot. But I'm glad that it did, and that's about it. I mean, it was they basically asked in terms of, I think the questions that I was asked was, like, you were there from the beginning, like, where is it now, and how do you feel about it, and this and that, and I was just like, I'm just glad that Vlad's taking over. That's, I mean, not that I thought that. Jason did incredible things. Jason was definitely a little bit of a messiah to the game as well. But like Vlad taking over is you're going from a good thing to a good thing, and that's a good thing. So
all is good in the Gwent hood, as they say.
Yeah, damn right. So yeah, go check out the article. Is all I'm gonna say. Is IGN posted. I don't have a link, but we'll try to get you one either way. Just Google. That's what it's there for. But
exactly.
Topic
it's also
this week.
on our Twitters and stuff like that. So
yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
So from there, if you followed all that stuff, then you should be good.
Yeah, you probably follow us, so take it from there.
Take it from there. Feedback, Mr. Pavel Burza.
Amen.
Oh, it's out there. There's plenty of it. And I always say when it comes to feedback is great if it's constructive. But there's certainly a lot of feedback, and feedback has been something that is just immensely tied to, especially card games, any video games, frankly. Whenever, the internet and the communities and the people who enjoy things, when you're passionate about something, you'll always have something to say about it, right? So feedback is kind of like an abundance of feedback is a symptom of a passionate community, and that's a good thing. And that's something that needs to be really hammered down and clarified right out of the gate, that feedback is always a good thing. But there are definitely ways to approach feedback in one way or another. And you, as the community manager, have essentially been the lightning rod for feedback for many, many years. So you can kind of push us off on this voyage here, and I will merely sit in the back and backseat you the entire way. Because feedback is a you thing, buddy. I'm only here to be the bad guy.
Good.
That's my role.
Yeah. So I'll start with the beginning, like my beginnings in the company. So when I joined CDPR, I knew that feedback here was taken actually into consideration. I know there are gaming companies, but also titles that maybe don't really take a lot of feedback into consideration from the player base. And I'm not only talking about for like things that they're developing, but also things that are already out. And I remember when I joined after the release of The Witcher 3, there was a lot of feedback from players about, implementing some things or changing some things within the game itself, which was like simple stuff like please make the text bigger in the subtitles. So when I'm playing on my console, I can actually see it from my couch. Simple stuff like that. And I knew that whenever like simple feedback like this came in, that our developers took it to heart very seriously and would implement it within the next couple updates. And I feel like that taking feedback into consideration, implementing it into the game is something that we took with Gwent also. But I feel like we also, just before Homecoming, before Midwinter, I feel like we were at a point where we were taking too much feedback and then kind of implementing everything that Reddit was saying into the game, where we kind of got into a place that wasn't very healthy or good for us. And it was a place where we kind of should have stopped and kind of started thinking about how we interpret the feedback that we get for the game. Because you cannot be changing everything on your community's kind of, whim. Because how I see feedback is you have players that come in, someone says something. If it's a person well known and established in the community, that person more or less will get backers, and it will start creating this echo chamber of one kind of sentiment towards something, and that will be pressured into that will be like pretty much putting pressure on the developer in order to implement it at any cost, because people are rioting about it, right?
Right.
And sometimes in these cases players can be right. If it's something that, let's say, is a bug, is game breaking, is too dominant, that we had times where cars were too dominant and people were rioting for a good reason. But sometimes I feel like it's with feedback, you get into a place where something you feel is not yet a problem or needs to be investigated, or you kind of need more data behind it, but it already starts to become a big issue just after, let's say, like a patch that has come out in the last, I don't know what, 3 days, and people are already saying this is broken, this should be nerfed, this should be deleted from the game. And that kind of feedback is not very constructive, and it's not really bringing anything to the table.
Well, this set of cards that came out, I don't know if you remember, but the first like week or so was just rave reviews and A+ and S tier set. These cards are all amazing. Well done. Best thing that you guys have done in a long time. I mean, like, I'm just paraphrasing, but like, this is what I'm trying to get at, is feedback is great, but people need to understand that on any given day, any snapshot of feedback on Reddit is not the whole picture. It is merely that group of people expressing their sentiment. Because again, when Forgotten Treasures came out, everybody was like, if you go back to the first 72 hours post release, it was all rave reviews for the most part. There may have been some bugs or whatever, but that always happens. But ultimately the reviews were great. So if you look at Reddit on that day, wow, CDPR did an amazing job, congratulations. If you look at it like this past week, wow, CDPR is the worst and they don't know what they're doing. So what changed? What did the cards change? No, cards were the same. What changed? What changed is the people who liked them, said they liked them, and continued to like them. The people who played them and don't like them came through afterwards and told people that they don't like them. Everyone's entitled to their opinion. Absolutely. I would never stand in the way of somebody expressing how they feel about something. What I will stand in the way with is when it's done in a malicious way without any constructive basis to it. But what I'm trying to get at here is that any given day is not the whole picture of what feedback is. Because if you go to Reddit and you look at all the stuff, you'd think that everybody in the world hates what's going on. But that's not true. That's not true. What's true is that is merely the dominating opinion that is overtaking the public domain right now. I say it all the time. I say Reddit is 10% of the noise at 200% of the volume. What does that mean? It means that just because the top X amount of posts on Reddit that have like 95 upvotes, you'd think that, oh, well, look at all the posts. Everybody must hate this. It's not true, because the people who like it are playing it and not talking about it. Does that invalidate those opinions? No, it doesn't. It doesn't invalidate them. But what bothers me sometimes is that people automatically think that whatever they believe is the correct truth and the inherent reality. And sometimes that's not true, because people need to understand that they need to disassociate their subjective views from an objective reality, an objective truth, and also that there's more out there than just what they feel. That their subjective opinion about something may clash with somebody else's subjective opinion about something, and that doesn't make either person right. It just means that all it says is that my experience has led me to this sentiment, and that's what it is. But the difference is that some people take that negative sentiment, fire it off in this big angry letter or whatever, or post their, whether it's done respectfully or not respectfully, they'll post their opinion on the internet, and everybody will crowd around it and support it for whatever it is. And if it's a positive one, well, those tend to bubble up very soon. Like, those are usually the first things to bubble up, because the people who play it, appreciate it, go back to playing it and appreciate it. And those who don't like it go back to talking about it. But feedback is a very, it's a tough thing to nail down, because, at first glance, it's always swaying in one way. There's never like an equal balance of both. It's one or the other, but that's not always the whole picture. And that's what I wish more people would understand, because you'd think that, like, the way that people address certain things sometimes, it's that the entire world, all hundreds of thousands of people playing Gwent on any given day, share their opinion. And that's what people need to shake, is that sense of whatever they believe is the overall overarching opinion of everybody.
Yeah, and I also want to add that if you go to different places like Facebook, Twitter probably pretty much shows same things as Reddit. But if you go to places where you would not expect maybe the core, let's say hardcore gaming players, so places like YouTube, places like Facebook, so comments there are kind of different to the ones that you see on Reddit. People are complaining about different things. Surprise, surprise. And I think it's just different communities being, in different places talking about different things which they like or they dislike about the game. But I feel like I agree that, when Forgotten Treasures came out, everybody was on the hype train saying like, oh, these abilities are cool, this is awesome. But in between, we kind of also had a patch which changed some stuff and kind of addressed some of the issues that were things that maybe were a little bit overpowered, like traveling priests and stuff like that. And after that month was ending and the meta was kind of coming to a close, let's say, because I feel like with monthly updates, you have the month ending and you kind of see where the meta is at the beginning of the month and how it is at the end of the month, especially when you have a card drop. And the decks that were prevalent there were, of course, some variations of Golden Necker / Erendite decks and stuff like that. And people just jumped on a train of saying that all the decks are the same because they contain these two cards, and that you cannot pretty much play anything else in the game itself, because if you're not playing those two things, then you're doing something wrong for sure. And there were also echo chambers saying that this is taking away flavor. This is becoming the neutral card game instead of the one being connected to factions and their different identities and stuff like that. And the last episode we also did on Flurza was about a faction identity, and people were also saying like, what faction identity is just two cards? And it's totally not true. And of course, it's a sentiment that kind of came out. I feel like it has calmed down a little bit right now, but in the beginning of this month, it was something that everybody was kind of talking about and kind of sharing that same one opinion of those two cards. And you will get this, and I feel like you will get this in any card game or any game which is kind of balanced on a regular basis. You have this in League of Legends. You have this in Rainbow Six, probably Siege also, where people talk about which operator is the one dominant and which one's worse. And you had the same thing for Overwatch and for other games. And I feel like it's something that is opinion based to some extent, but also is done in a way so there is some feedback sent to the developers, so they kind of see it and they kind of act on it. But I feel like they only act on things that is based off of data. That's one. And then community sentiment is something that is taken into account. Like, I can tell you from my standpoint, like me, Ryan, plus the rest of the design team, like I've said this numerous times, but I've always will be coming back to this. Like, we meet on a weekly basis, and the number one question that we get from the designers is, what is the community's current sentiment about the decks, about the meta? What do they think? And we kind of bounce those things off of what they think, and also what their plans are for the next month or the next couple months. And also we kind of gauge it when it comes to the data that we have gathered throughout, some time. So all these things taken into consideration, kind of, patch in and lay into the next update that we have in the game.
Data is an important word, I feel, because people typically don't have access to it. And that's one of the beauties of card games that are exclusively played on a digital client. You guys can just go into the data, filter what you need, and get in results and information is part of the balance process and part of the directional process of what you're designing and such. But other card games don't have that, and it's tough. So many times people just assume that what their experience is everyone's experience. But like, part of it is like people who are talking about how I'm like, the other thing is that I see a lot is on Reddit is there's a daily post of and like, it's probably even a cut and paste of this topic, which is, how the hell do you beat XYZ deck? You'll see it about Mill, you'll see it about Syndicate, you'll see it about this, you'll see it about that. I saw it about Relics, a deck that, like, which is fascinating. Like, people complaining about that, they're not complaining, but like frustrated about their inability to consistently beat a particular deck. So if that, it's like, that's the part of it that it's also, true. It's like, because to somebody, this person who can't beat a Relic deck, other players will be like, how are you losing to a Relic deck? It's not really a super strong deck anymore. Like, change your deck or change your strategy.
It's pretty good after the recent change
right.
to the Brewers, right?
No, right. But what I'm saying is, I'm saying it in regards to like the fact that everybody has their own boogeyman that they can't beat. For some it's Mill, for some it's Lippy, for some it's this, for some it's that. And at the end of the day, everybody has this tough deck that they have trouble with, and then they'll voice their opinion about it. But this leads to the fact that, again, it's a subjective thing, because some people know how to beat things, and it's all also skill related. So, part of feedback also is understanding that you can't balance a game to appeal to all skill levels. You can't. You absolutely can't, because the good players will find and understand the ways to beat strong decks, and to them, those strong decks are not OP and unbeatable. It's merely that they're tough and that their strategy has to shift in order to find an avenue to beat it. But a novice player will come up against something, will not know how to beat it, will not know the opposite deck's win condition, will get throttled by it, and will immediately resort to saying that, well, this card is way OP because I don't have a way to beat it. I have no, they hide it behind a defender and this and that. Well, run a Purify, or run a this, or run extra removal, or do this, or run movement, or, Anyway, long story short, it's just that feedback is an important element to card design and the health of a card game. But what I feel the Gwent community needs to detach themselves from is a sense, and I'm going to get absolutely raked through the coals. Every time I do an episode like this, people always just send me messages about like, well,
you're supposed to be the bad guy.
I am, but you know what?
You're kind of the good guy.
Well, I'm not the good guy. I'm the honest guy, and that's what a lot of people can't digest. Because like, when I give my honest opinion about something, and people don't like what I say, I get immediately dismissed and immediately, like one of the Reddit questions, like, well, how do you feel about neutral cards, dominating the ladder? Neutral cards have dominated the ladder since 2017, friends. I hate to tell you, but Igni was a problem for a long time. Heatwave's been around forever. All these other neutral cards that everyone complains about as being, like dominant. Like neutral cards of devotion has not been the way to play cards for a long time. Like neutral cards. Now, obviously, there are some very strong ones that are out right now, and people lean towards them because they're strong. But the question is like, how do you feel about neutral cards being so good and dominating the ladder? And I said, I feel the same way as when devotion was dominating the ladder. Symbiosis devotion, or like lined pockets devotion, or all these other devotions that were around. What's it called? Warriors, Skellige Warrior devotion was also a thing. In case you guys forgot, so these were super strong decks that people complained about back then, but now it's about now there's like 3 neutral cards that are busting people up, and people are now saying that that's OP. So there's no fine balance. There's no fine balance at all. And again,
but isn't that like in any card game?
It is about any card game.
In any game that is competitive and has a multiplayer aspect where you're going against someone else, there is always going to be bound to something that people will just lash out about, or hate, or love, or think about and discuss and stuff like that. But that's the point, right? And I feel like it's a good thing that you mentioned there have always been some neutral cards which are available. Since they're available for all factions, they can be used, like Heat Wave, like an Aeromancy, Royal Decree, all that stuff. Like now it's Erendite, it's Ciri, it's Golden Necker, it's Ring of Favor and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I mean, of course, people are playing with these cards, especially the later mentioned, because they're new cards and people want to use them because the new utility on the card is good. I'm not saying that this is the only way to get into pro rank, because you see people saying like, oh my God, I made it to pro ladder and stuff like that with a deck that didn't contain these cards. So it's still feasible. It doesn't mean that these are the only cards that you should be playing at, and if you don't play them, you're not going to make it anywhere.
Well, the other part about it is also that, like, do you remember 3 Gwent back in beta, Ciri Nova, just drop it on the board, 24 points, easy?
Yeah.
Like, hello, 24 points, one card, no questions asked. Just drop it on the board, you're good. Okay, like, where's everyone? Do people forget about that? Like, that was in every single deck. Every single deck ran that card, ran old school Ciri Nova. And you know what? And since everyone ran old school Ciri Nova, everyone ran Igni, because you could beat Ciri Nova if you could answer it with Igni. So everybody had these series of neutral cards that overtook everything. But the focal point of this episode is feedback, and feedback is so vital to the card game. But what it becomes really toxic about it is that the way people approach feedback is so absolutely abrasive and vile sometimes that it is. I have thick skin. Say whatever the F you want about me. I could care less. I have found success without people, with and without people hating and supporting me. So don't worry about me. Say whatever the hell you want from me. I don't care. What bothers me is when people approach and think that the proper way to effectuate change is to attack and to degrade people. And that is where everyone's like it's the same way when people are like, I submitted a question to your show, like you didn't answer it, like F you. It's like, we have absolutely no obligation to do anything with the questions that you guys send us. We appreciate that you do send them, and we answer the ones that we want to answer. But in the same way that when you submit feedback, it's not going straight on Vlad's desk and for consideration. There's no war room meeting at 8 a.m. every day where it's like, all right, these are the current Reddit problems. Let's push out a thing right now because John Smith 69 says that this card is really OP. So let's tone it down and make John Smith happy. And to be fair though, John Smith had 70 upvotes. That's 70 people out of several 100,000 that are upset here. So let's be real. Let's make it happen, and let's get John Smith 69 420 Kush Blaze it. Let's make sure he has a good weekend.
Yeah, but I just wanted to say that if there is a topic that is coming back and is coming back and forth and is something that a lot of people are talking about, these things actually they are being discussed within the proper teams within CDPR. So it's not, I'm saying that the most important thing here is that even if this feedback is coming in, and maybe sometimes it's valid, maybe sometimes it's not very valid, it is still being discussed within the company who is responsible for the game, in this case us. So it's not, it's not like we do not talk about these things. We talk about them, and we either say, okay, this is a problem, this needs to be addressed. When can we do it? Next update in 2 months, and maybe we can hotfix it, then we do it. If it's something that we do not address and we don't do anything about it, that probably means that the problem is not existent in this case. It's much easier with live ops things like, I don't know, contracts or rewards that are not being granted. So these are things that for sure are, errors on our side and should be fixed.
Right.
Like the sooner the better. But if it's balanced, it's it can be either way. It can be yes or a no, and you can be going, either one direction or the other direction.
Well, so that is the responsible approach from CDPR's standpoint, and as you should be listening to the feedback. But I feel like there's this unfair expectation from people submitting feedback that their feedback should be immediately addressed and taken as the gospel truth about things. And this is the sort of the abrasive part. This is the rough part about taking feedback from Reddit, is that there's this holier than thou approach to it by many people. I'm not saying everyone, so please don't quote me on that, because a lot of people submit their feedback in a very constructive way, and they could be real pissed off and real annoyed, but they can present their arguments in a good way. Trust me, I know all about submitting constructive feedback and and being taken out of context sometimes. But at the same time, in the way that people do present it, they have this air of like, I am correct here, so what are you gonna do to appease me in the shortest term possible? I mean, Gwent already pushes updates every month, right? Like there's a patch there's a patch every month to rebalance. That is already more frequent than any other card game you'll ever see. That is a fact. Listen, I play so many card games, digital and paper. I play Runeterra, Magic, Mythgard, not anymore, Cards, KRDS, Gwent, all kinds of card games. No other card game pushes balance changes as frequently as Gwent does. It's just the truth. And this kind of comes back to the fact that a lot of people who play Gwent don't play any other card games. So this is the only experience they have within this kind of, situation. And that's fine, because some people only want to play Gwent, and that's good. But there needs to be expectations here about the process of how feedback becomes actual change. And part of that is considering it and putting it against the actual inherent, like if you go out there and say, I lost to this card or this deck 4 times in a row, it's OP, it's busted, it's broken, fix it, this card is over the top, crazy, stupid good. And then you go and check, well, okay, so that's 4 games you played, and yeah, the card beat you 4 times, no problem, we understand, that sucks. We also have data on 200,000 other games.
Yeah.
Of those 200,000 other games that contain this card that you're complaining about, the win rate on that deck is 47%. So is it you, or is it the card? Because if we nerf the card even further, suddenly this card becomes a 42% win rate deck, and that is beyond unplayable. So
it's all about the sample size. In this case, we kind of see a bigger picture than your 4 to 5 games that you play. And I have games that I'll queue into like 4 games, and I might be losing, and I might think it's just because of like one card, but sometimes it's just me not executing the game plan properly, or I don't know, me trying a new deck, or me changing stuff within the deck in order to kind of fit into the current meta based on the rank that I'm in. And that's still not the biggest sample size when it comes to like overall balance for the whole game. So you, based off of those 4 to 5 games, you cannot expect people to change stuff. And I feel like I have to second what you said. Like, people sometimes come with this expectation that I am right, you're wrong, you fix it, I'm telling you now how to do it. And I feel like, whenever you're and I feel like it's also a problem when it comes to feedback being anonymous, because like you said, you're getting from someone 69 or 420 or Blaze It 93 or whatever, and then you don't know who this person is, you don't know, and also it's in the internet. Sometimes people just troll, they just troll for fun, they don't care about a change or anything, but they just, they find like a topic or an echo chamber and they keep on spamming and keep that thing going just for the laughs of it or just for fun. And it doesn't mean that this is going to be like valid feedback that we should be taking into account in any way.
The other part about it, and like I haven't played in several weeks. I'm taking time off, but Arya was here and she was playing, and I sat and watched a bit, and while she was playing, and I hadn't had as much experience with a card like Erendite or Ring of Favor or whatnot. I haven't. But I watched it in action. I'm like, yeah, these are very strong cards. These are incredibly strong cards. It's incredible that you are the only person who is allowed to play it, apparently. Or you are not. Like, this is the other thing. It's like, everybody can play these cards, and I get it. Now you're saying, oh, well, Devotion's no longer viable because these neutral cards are so big. Well, not everything is viable all the time. Because what happens if suddenly every card gets a brand new devotion, every faction gets a brand new super powerful devotion card, and now you can't run Ring of Favor and you can't run these. It's cyclical, and I get it. And people are saying, well, buff devotion because it needs to combat this. And now we're on that magical power creep thing, which of which a remedy would be rhymes with schmandered schmotation, but I'm not going to go down that route. Either way, I have to mention it once an episode.
Of course,
I have to. But yeah,
it's like Dagon. It will keep on coming back.
It will come back.
Maybe the chances for it are bigger though in the future than for Dagon right now.
Dear Lord, I hope so. That said, like I love reading feedback. I take feedback for myself all the time. I was a guest on a podcast this past week, and I got feedback after that, and I was like, oh, okay, like this is constructive and whatnot.
Yeah, if it's constructive, it's good. I mean, it lets you develop, it lets you grow, and the same goes for Gwent as a game. Like we get good feedback. We really do get good feedback that we discuss, that we implement, that we have within the game, and I feel like this community has been noticing that. I also remember there was a time where we had a lot of Hearthstone players migrate into the game, and they were surprised by the fact that we do monthly balance changes, which was weird for them because, like you said, it's not something that happens in most of the card games that you and me even enjoy. But second of all was the thing that the developers actually listen to you, interact with you on a normal basis. This is also one of the things why I joined the company, because if you remember my origin story, I had a problem within The Witcher 3. I was in Kaer Morhen, and I think Lambert or Eskel, one of them, was falling into the ground. And this was a game-breaking kind of bug because it did not let you progress within the main quest. And I wrote to CDPR at that time through their official forums. And I got a reply from the community manager at the time, Martin Mamot, who is still with the company, telling me that it's going to be fixed in the next update. So hold on tight, it's going to be fixed. And that was all that I needed. And this was like, I put in my feedback, I let him know that I had problems, and I got information instantly that it's going to be fixed, which is like, what else as a player would you want? And I know there were people at the time complaining that, it should be fixed now. Like, you have 2 days to fix it or something like that. You get people like with demanding stuff from
That's
you.
great. Like, I didn't look how many bosses you have, Pavel. That's incredible.
Reddit is my boss. If Reddit was my boss, I probably would not have any salaries, because I'd be like, this month Burza did not reply to these many things. You will not get a salary.
I listen. It's again, to sort of take the bad guy route on this. I feel like feedback is so important and it's so good, but like.
But it needs to be constructive. What you said, it needs to be constructive.
I'll say it. I'll say it because I know a lot of people feel it. The Gwent community has sort of taken this like toxicity turn, and it's really unfortunate because it used to be, and I know that this is not everybody, but the problem is, like I said, 10% of the noise, 200% of the volume. Like, where are all the positive things being said? Where is all the supportive people out there? Like I'm calling on everybody out there who has a positive thing to say about anything. Then go and start sharing that stuff, because I get it. Things are sometimes not like, how many more posts do we need about the fact that Erendite is a card? Like, we get it. We get it. We absolutely get it. We 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 get it. What part of balance like worries you that these cards are not going to get seen? There's sweeping changes every month that go through, but the fact that like the majority of the noise is this negative buzz, I will be completely honest with you. I have absolutely very little like interest in sort of getting like diving back into the game's culture and stuff like that, because of how toxic the water is right now. And like, I play privately, but do I want to stream the game? Do I want to go? No, because I don't want to hear people come and start, crapping on me because I cast the game sometimes. Like, I don't want to get knee deep into that culture of like, where every single post about anything positive is met with a reply of some negative garbage, and it's like it's just freaking exhausting is what it is.
But I feel like when it comes to streaming and also when it comes to your own kind of communities, I think as content creators, we can kind of have this community around us, which is kind of away from the second chamber and is kind of more there for the enjoyment. Like, I know whenever I stream Gwent, the people that come there are of course a couple people that will complain, but since those complaints, they do not see any reaction from me or me saying anything about it, the interaction with the people that are in my chat or that are watching at that time is more like a nice, wholesome discussion. Like, hey, how you doing? Like, we're playing this is pretty cool. Like, this is fun. Like, we don't get that negativity like going through because we kind of nip it in the bud, right? We just
the other part about it is like, if you're having a conversation, like anybody who I always like to do this, and people typically back off, but if anybody ever has something nasty to say about me, like, I'm all for firing up a Discord call and let's talk about it. Tell me to my face. I'm not like, but that's where everybody hides under a rock afterwards, because
that's the problem.
Well, that's it, because there's
actually telling that to your face.
And well, that's the deal. And look, at the same time, there are popular people within the Gwent community who say crappy things about me, and when I confront them privately, I'm like, you want to talk about it? We could talk about it. Like adults, they burrow away and are completely poof gone, ninja dust, disappear. Like, that's what they do. But in terms of what the negative feedback thing is, it's that it's not so much about effectuating change. It's about expressing their dismay about something in a way where everyone else will pump their tires and validate their opinion. And their opinion is as soon as you have an opinion, it is immediately validated. So how do you invalidate your opinion? Well, you attack people and say and go after, and like one of the questions we got was like, CDPR is clearly incompetent. And then boom, and then they ask their question. I'm like, is that really, like, you could take that out.
That's how you start your question,
basically,
right? So
everybody who has an opinion, your opinion is immediately validated merely by the fact that you have it. How do you invalidate it? You do shit like that. That's how you invalidate it. So it's not it's the easiest thing to give feedback. And have it validated. It takes effort to make yourself look like an absolute clown and automatically just be like, you know what, we're not listening to this. It's the same thing, because I don't care if you tell me that I need improvement and I'm not good at what I do, but tell it to me in a way where I can understand how I can improve. Because in that case, it's not just a matter of you wanting something to improve. It's a matter of you wanting to prove a point that you're some hero, that, I'm like this, I'm going to be that guy who's going to come here and tell the boss that he's
shining armor.
Basically,
I'm gonna tell him how it is.
Yeah, I'm gonna tell him how it is, but I'm gonna use a fake screen name, and I'm gonna make sure that I only reply to comments that validate my side of the story, and I'm not gonna listen to anything else. Look, if you have an opinion about the game, it is immediately validated. Okay, that's a fact. But there are ways to do it, and if like the whole thing about like, I just told them that they're stupid and they should fix their game. Why aren't they listening to me? Well, there's your answer. There's your answer.
Yeah. If you any conversation you have and you tell the other person that they are stupid, automatically gets you out of this conversation. This is not a conversation. It's pretty much you saying that, okay, he or she is stupid, and that's not a valid argument. That's just you not having arguments and pulling that like out of your butt and saying like, okay, this is like my last play, but it's like
Yeah, well,
there's no point of talking after that, right?
can I say the question that was submitted?
Mhm.
All right. Well, here's example 1A of how not to approach a
Pass
situation.
on feedback.
Yeah, this is not how you do it, because I can easily reword this to make you look like an actual competent human being, but rather you take the approach of, I'm going to be a hero, and I'm going to have so many backhanded insults in this comment that I'm going to look like a total god about it. And I'm going to go home and I'm like, "Oh my god, they read it. I'm such a badass." This isn't how you not do it, okay? This is the question. Some players claim that CDPR is incompetent, yet you managed to introduce the same bug with Summoning Circle, showing the deck order again. How do you manage to do it? What do you like? Like, come on. Like, really?
We can address that. It's not a bug.
You know how you ask this question? You say, there have been multiple instances where cards that are played search your deck and look at your deck, and it is an unintentional thing that it shows the deck in order. How does this continuously occur, and how is this why is this a reoccurring problem? Is that a bad way to say it? Takes everything that in the spirit of what you want to say, but weeds out all the douchebaggery that you pump into these questions. And this is why feedback on Reddit is mostly disregarded. It's because it is packaged with a shit bow on it. Like, that's what it is. And this is part of like my little rant about why I could care less about feedback on Reddit, because it is mostly, produced in such a garbage way, and it's terrible in that regard. And the consequence of that is that the many people out there who are presenting great arguments as to why the certain things need change are lost amidst this sea of floating garbage like this. And it's unfortunate, but that's...
Yeah, but sometimes there's good feedback. Like we get a lot of good feedback when it comes to journeys and adding new stuff to them, and or changing something. So we get good feedback also out of Reddit, but there are sometimes the ones that are connected mostly to balance because the ones to balance are very subjective, and they will kind of never get through, or they're just when it comes to like interactions and validating them. And I feel like there are a lot of the ones like the one you read where people are just going you can see that they're typing those out while being pretty much just pissed at the world or at the game, and that's kind of their way of dealing with it and kind of venting out and letting it out kind of, and spinning that kind of negativity. And I feel like a lot of people also on Reddit and also on the internet are kind of they're just waiting for someone to start the talk and making something negative, and they just bounce off of it, they feed off of it, and I feel like they keep on creating this negativity, which is not good for anybody else, like on a normal like human basis. Like if you're surrounded by negative thoughts and you're always against everything, that life must be pretty shitty for you, right? Because you could be happy, or if you're giving feedback or anything like that, just give it in a constructive way. Like we had people writing essays to us, or like 5 pages of stuff like that, or design ideas and things that come out of like pure passion and love for the game. And there's just like, oh, this balance shit, the CDPR sucks, and that's okay. What am I supposed to do with that?
True story.
I can pretty much just take it and throw it, or just write to you, thank you for your feedback. Period.
Yeah. And well, yeah, like that's no offense, but like if you're going to hide a good idea within a cocoon of garbage, then we're not like, I would imagine that CDPR is not interested in cracking that shell of shit to get to that, that juicy bit that you've nestled into because you think that you're like some sarcastic god. That's not how that works. True story though, I did start writing my proposal as to what Gwent draft should look like. And then I just stopped. So I gave up on that. But I did have that all fleshed out. But that's how you present feedback. You don't go in and say, this is garbage. Change it. And then I'll get mad at something else. But anyway, look, I want to applaud, and I want to end this discussion on the positive note that there's an immense amount of people out there who are positively influencing the game
I agree.
and providing feedback in constructive manners, whether they like something or not. And do not misconstrue positive and constructive feedback. Sorry, constructive feedback with positive feedback.
Yes.
It's not the same.
Yes.
Because
yes,
you can
be, yeah.
Yeah. So when somebody says that something's garbage, you could say it's garbage. Just be like, look, I said it. I've said that. I say that all the time. I have told the Gwent developers that I think that the draft mode is really not functional and not good. I have said that. I've written my piece about it, and that is a constructive way to approach something when I do not like anything about draft mode, and I've told them exactly why, but I've presented it in a way where I explain my reasons, and I'm not attacking anyone, nor am I saying that someone's incompetent or their work is bad or whatever. I'm merely saying this is what I believe. There are ways to do that, and that exists out there, and those posts do exist, but they're always inundated with the wrong approach. But I want to applaud the people who take the correct approach of being able to express that they do not like something and being able to then substantiate it with reasoning and ways to potentially improve. And sometimes you do not always have the right answer, to do something. Like, for instance, let me give you an example. If somebody gets a bullet wound to the stomach, and comes to me for help, I might not know how to fix the problem, but I know that shoving a knife in their eye is not the right way to do it. I know I can make that distinguish. I could distinguish what the wrong approach is without having to know what the solution is. So that's definitely a way here. So if you don't like something, you don't necessarily need to have the solution to it. You merely just need to be able to articulate why it's not working, and that's perfectly fine as well. And for those people out there, provide feedback in a constructive and friendly way. That's how games grow, and that's how you earn more attention and trust from the developers who are looking at this feedback. And like if I got a knock on the door like 20 times a day, and 19 of those times someone's gonna kick me in the balls, I'm not gonna answer the door anymore. But if it was 1 out of 20 times, I would answer the door every time. Be like, well, there's something positive coming out of here. But like, that's kind of how it is. You go to Reddit and it's like, all right, how many times am I going to get kicked in the balls before somebody gives me a pat on the back? Like, that's kind of how it goes.
I just want to say it's not all of Reddit, because like I said, there has been good feedback coming out of it, but the most visible one sometimes is the one that is stuck in the negative echo chamber. But I wanted to second what you said, Flake, that whoever is passing on their feedback in a constructive manner, which is helping grow the game, like, thank you, because you have been, an important part of Gwent's development. And last year we hit 5 years, and I feel like those 5 years were, we had our ups and downs and stuff like that, but community has always been coming back with some great ideas in terms of like what needs to be changed, what should be addressed, what should remain the same and stuff like that. All this is kind of helping us throughout this time. And you also need to bear in mind that this was our first multiplayer title in such a capacity, in such a way. So we've learned a lot about taking your feedback into consideration, but we also learned a lot from you how to implement stuff into the game itself. Because let's not forget, the people who comment and give their feedback that is constructive, these are also gamers, and these are people who A, care about the game because they're passionate about it, B, they play other games and are part of other communities, and they can bring something new and fresh and a different view on different subjects. And this is what's helping us as a game grow, and it's also helping us as a community grow. And of course there are bad apples, but you will get bad apples in any community, and you will have people saying that everything is shit. But I mean, we're kind of used to it by now, and these things, like, we don't, like Flake said, we don't really see them and care about them, but we filter through all that stuff to find the good juicy stuff that can make us better as a game.
I like it. All right, we're gonna get feedback on this episode. It's gonna be the same thing.
I'm happy if it's constructive. It would be really nice to get more feedback coming for the episodes that we do of the podcast. So keep on coming. Yeah. But in the meantime, don't forget 93shop.com. 93shop.com. Check out that merch.
Yeah,
check
get
out their
there.
merch.
Absolutely. Use
Yeah.
the code Flurza5. Get $5 off
Exactly.
your first order. Why not?
And
Friends,
become a Dagon rumor reporter.
damn right. Exactly. Instant journalistic credentials. If you have that shirt on, you can go to the White House and interview the president. You wear that shirt,
CNN, BBC, IGN,
all that.
whatever. No one has anything on you.
No, you go there, you with that shirt, people will be like, "Oh, would you like to give the speech for the president?" Clearly, you
Instant hire. Instant hire.
All right, Q&A coming around the corner. Don't go too far.
All right. Hello and welcome back to the Q&A, or the mailbag as we love to call it, where we take your questions from Reddit and Twitter. As you guys know, we weren't here last week, so we're taking last week questions for this week's episode. And we'll start off with Mercern.
Good guy,
awesome
Mercern.
Awesome dude.
Love him.
Yep. Okay, my super important question is, why have we never seen Flake with a beard and Burza without a beard?
I do not remember if you ever were beardless when we met. Like, you were?
No, when we met,
2017.
No.
I don't think so.
I think in 2017 was the last time where I shaved my beard for like a brief second.
We met at the end of 2017, so you probably had your beard back then.
But I don't think there was a twig that I ever did without a beard. There was one that I had only a mustache back in the day for like Movember.
For your porn shoot. Yeah.
But I hardly ever shave like completely. Like the thing that I have right now, like a light kind of beard stubble kind of thing is like the lowest I'll go. I wanted to shave recently completely, but my wife said no. So, he can argue with that. So, but I love to at least, I used to love to like at least once a year, like clean shave. But yeah, then my wife is against it. And my daughter is also like, no, please don't. You look weird. So yeah, I try not to do it. Flake, have you ever tried to grow a beard?
I've tried. It doesn't. So true story. So when I was in the hospital for like those 4 months, I didn't shave for several months because I just couldn't. I was paralyzed, so I couldn't do it. But that was the most I've ever had of growth on my face. And if you look at pictures, you're like, what happened? Like you could see like this like crustache that I grew. Like at one point, eventually, like my dad was there and he's like, okay, like we gotta shave you. Like it's just, even if it's patchy and gross, like it's just, you look like you gotta look like a human being. Like I had already lost like 50 pounds like out in the bed, and I'm like, let's at least make you look like you're still alive. Like so. But I told my dad, I'm like, leave the mustache. I said, I've never in my life grown one.
I want a stash.
Yeah, so I'm like, give me a stash. So my dad shaved everything else except like the mustache part, and I kept that for a few days. And I was like, but you can't. Like the reason why you've never seen me with a beard. See this? This is like 3 days of growth and nothing. Like I just can't. And I'm 36, and I'm pretty sure I'm past the point of no return when it comes to this. Like when I was in my 20s, like early 20s, I had people like, oh, I didn't get my beard until I was like 25. Then I turned 25, and people were like, oh, mine only really filled out when I was 30. Then I was 30, and people are like, oh, well, I guess you're just a man-child. I'm like, I guess I am a man-child. So that's, it can't happen. So that's why the real reason is because it is not biologically possible for me. And frankly, I'm okay with that. I'm all right with that. Yeah. I shave like once every 5 days. Yeah,
I envy you. I wish I could do that. It depends kind of on your biology. Let's say some people can grow one very easily, and they have like, and also the thing with it is like if you start shaving early, and I think I started shaving quite early because I don't know, I was like 18 maybe 19. That was like the earliest where I started shaving. Like the more you shave it, the thicker it grows back, and the more volume kind of it gets. So you kind of need to maintain it more, and it grows back quicker, I feel. So yeah, I sometimes I just wish I can just shave it off, but I know that it's going to be 3 days, and it's pretty much going to be visible. So,
but it's good for the aerodynamics on your bike.
It is.
Do you shave your legs, Pavel?
I do.
Nice.
Guilty. Like I can even lift my legs.
Nice. Look at that.
Clean.
Hell yeah, dude. We got some PG-13 action over here. We got
Yep.
some Burza legs on the
Yeah,
show.
yeah.
Use the code BurzaLegs5.
Yeah, oh man, I'll send you good pics. I'm like swole after a bike ride, tanned nicely.
Oh,
Ooh.
the Flurza OnlyFans is gonna be my face with no beard and your legs, both smooth as a baby's ass. Yeah.
Yeah, man. If that helps me pay the bills, I mean,
Dude, I always tell
gotta do it.
people, I'm like, hey, if you want to pay for pictures of my feet or something, by all means, I do not kink shame. You do what you got to do. For all intents and purposes, just do what you got to do. So if you want feet pics,
whatever rocks your boat.
yeah, dude. Listen. I do not kink shame. You go and do your own thing. It's all good. All right. Next question from Phantom Mag asking, "Hey, my beautiful gentlemen." I assume that's us. That's pretty sweet.
Yes.
My question
Phantom
is the
Mag
following.
Is awesome.
Yeah, Phantom Mag is awesome. Asking, would you like 2023 to have more cards, like 2 or 3 expansions? Each expansion about 70 cards or so, or would you prefer the current state where it's less cards but crazier ideas? Also, if Burza can share any small hints if 2023 is going to be the exact same or not allowed to say anything at all. I miss your daily streams, Burza. Stay awesome, both of you. So there's a few points here. We'll start with what we would like in 2023. 2 or 3. Like, I am always beating the drum of more cards, more cards, more cards. And I've said this on this show. I've said it to whoever asks. Pumping out like 21 cards in like 6 months is not good. The cards were great. Don't get me wrong. Very impactful. But I'm first to say that you got to pump out more cards. And then people are like, well, how many ideas are you going to have? Well, the way that you solve that is Schmander Schmotation. And that's kind of how you rectify certain things and go from that point forward. And people are going to be like, there he goes again, saying the thing about standard rotation, of which I don't have a solid argument to counteract with, but that's how we're going to go with it. But I am all for, I wish next season, 3 expansions, 70 cards apiece. Next year. I wish that were the case. I don't think it's going to be the case, but you could probably shed some more light on that.
I wish I could like give you a full perspective of what's going to happen next year. Like, first of all, we want to do this cycle this year where we have card drops which are a little bit smaller but have tied themes around them and see how they perform. This kind of thing that we did this year was kind of based off of, I think, one of the old leader cards that we had as arts, and we dropped them in like a 12 card pack and kind of see how it would impact the current meta. And we've seen that, these smaller drops actually have a big impact on the meta itself, and people are gearing towards them and crafting these cards. But me, like on a personal level, I would want us in 2023 to go back to making maybe a little bit bigger expansions when it comes to the sheer amount of cards. It's much easier to tie like a whole theme around it. It's much easier to create more hype and stuff around them. It's better for the reveal season of the cards and hyping people up for them. It's much easier to implement kegs instantly instead of waiting for a couple card drops and then having a keg for players who like keg opening and do not want to only be crafting cards and stuff like that. So I'm more myself towards the more the better, but we will have to wait and see kind of what next year will bring based off of what we learned from this year. So we are kind of, gauging what are the possibilities for next year still, since it is only May, but it feels like we're like halfway through the year already. Like we burned through half of the year very, very quickly, which is normal. And yeah, so I cannot share anything when it comes to 2023. What I can tell you is for sure, I hope we have more new journeys coming in and stuff like that. Hopefully that's going to be the case, and hopefully we have bigger card drops, because that's what I like personally. But we'll see kind of what the decisions are on the higher level here.
The issue with small card drops is that you have to make, like, if you have a 12 card drop, like you mentioned, like the ones with the old school leader, and like, yeah, it did have an impact on the meta. It's because all of those cards were super strong.
Yeah.
So
you just have to be fire cards, right?
Well, yeah, you can release a 6 card set. And if all the cards are super impactful, obviously it's going to impact the meta because everyone's going to play those cards. So that's not. But in my opinion, that's not the litmus test for whether a card drop is successful or not. I feel like a shift of the meta is not a successful card drop, because if the meta shift is then okay, well, now everyone's just playing this card or this card.
Yeah.
Like maybe like currently, like the fact that there's, you know, these 3 or 4 neutral cards that everyone's basing their deck around because they're super strong. I mean, like if you dropped 70 more cards, people would have other options to perhaps create other alternatives. But again, card pool is like ultra inflated. You know, power creep is certainly on the radar and something that is of note. And who knows, next card drop. Like I feel like if you go 6 months without new content, that's dangerous. It's dangerous. And especially since the card drop is not like 70 cards where people can be like, okay, we've tried the big stuff, we tried the obvious stuff, let's start getting creative with other stuff. You don't have that when there's only 20 cards that are out there. But so yeah, I really hope that 2023 is a little bit more like, you know, drop a 70 card expansion, drop like a 12 card booster, then drop a 70 card expansion, drop a 12 card booster. Yeah, I think that's even if the 12 card booster is like small, they're not super impactful, but they're extra support for whatever lags behind. I think that's also a possibility. All right.
Yeah, and in our case, it's just less cards, but also going back and addressing cards which see less use and kind of making them better in this case. So kind of give you a little bit more tools without introducing new stuff. But I know players always want new because that's the cool stuff.
All right. Next one.
By Antio, will syndicate coins limit be increased in the future? So more coins for syndicate.
No, God,
in
no.
the future.
Look, I don't know if
Hopefully
they're going to
no.
be increased, but I think that if you do
don't
increase the
think so.
coin limit, it's going to be the worst thing ever. Imagine, you know, dropping a Siggy for 11 and having 11 coins. Imagine the absolute, because part of it is also the fact that if you do have a bigger coin increase, that means you have a better coin carryover from round to round. And also your tributes would have to be probably reestablished. You know, cards that are like tribute 9, that's your whole bank. So you have to work towards filling your whole bank. Do you adjust the full tribute to 10 or 11 or 12 or whatever the increase is? In which case it becomes harder to attain potentially, which then means you have to play Siggy and you have to build a deck to support it. I think 9 is just the magic number. And I think it's perfectly fine. But I think that increasing the coin limit on a deck or on a, you know, that just means that in round 1 or 2, where people are just trying to fill their bank to carry over to 4 or 5 to the next round, you know, it's a little bit easier. And then what about the Flying Redanian? Is the Flying Redanian still coming out at 9, or is it coming out at 10 or 11 or 12? So there's a lot to be think. I think that 9 is the perfectly
9
fine
is
number.
a sweet number in this case. Yeah.
Because there are like the repercussions of filling your bank to beyond 9 is like, what if now King of Beggars comes out and now you can click them 12 times instead of 9 or whatnot, you know? So yeah, so
Or
there's
tunnel drill.
or tunnel drill. Yeah, imagine an extra click or 2 on tunnel drill. Like it's obscene.
That can be a lot. That can be game changing.
That could, well, I mean, tunnel drill was already game changing.
Yeah.
So I think that's clean and clear. I don't think that it's going to happen. I don't think it should happen. All right, you're up.
By Kajikar from Twitter, if you had to make this, there's actually a couple questions. I'll start with the one about Eurovision. I don't know if you know what Eurovision is like.
I only know what Eurovision is because people on my Reddit thread talk about it. People like Jaggerus is always about it. Alicia always talks about Eurovision, and I have no clue what the hell she's talking about. I just know that it's like, the problem is here in North America, the amount of singing talent shows that there are is obscene. There's about 953 of them, and 954 of them are terrible. So we don't have Eurovision, obviously, because we're not in Europe. But I have seen clips, and I've seen how awesome it is. I always felt that competition that is nationality based always gets a lot of support and always gets a lot of passion behind it. Like even here in Canada, like the World Cup, Canada hasn't fielded a team at the World Cup or any kind of football contest at the highest levels in God knows how long. Men's Canadian soccer is terrible. We're just bad. But we're such a multicultural country that when there is a World Cup, everybody goes out to the bar with their colors because everybody is like, their mother was born in Italy or they've immigrated from Poland or the Ukraine. And you got people from the UK here. You've got whatever countries that they're from, but they all come to Canada, and they all, whenever there's a match, it's like who's playing, because you can look out the window and see the flags on the cars and the people with the jerseys enjoying themselves. So if that is kind of what the passion and the spice that Eurovision brings, I'm all for that. I think that's awesome.
So when it comes to me and Eurovision, I hate it. I think it should be eradicated because it's terrible music. Sorry, I've been known to have a very specific music taste, which mainly consists of. Actually, no, I'm not that harsh. I would say my dad is more harsh when it comes to music and stuff like that, because I let things slip and go. And there are a couple pop songs that I would say that I enjoy, but mainly it's just I just like rock music mainly. And it's old school, it's new school stuff. It's but I don't shy away from hip hop, electronic music and stuff like that. So I'm not by any means any person saying like you should be only listening to this. But I feel like this is kind of like a bad popularity contest from countries choosing some weird ass like musical, like I'm even afraid to even call it music, because normally it just sucks and it's just bad for your ears, and these people have no talent. And they go head to head against each other to see who's better, and they make like a whole show out of it. And I feel like it's just a waste of money, and I hope my taxes are not paying for these people to actually travel to these events and stuff like that. Because if so, I wanna pull out my taxes because it's just cringe. It's bad. I know some people like it, but I think they just like it for the cringe of it. So
there's some feedback for you.
Yes.
Post that one on Reddit, on Eurovision Reddit.
Yes. I will go to say that. Please close this. This is crap.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Get your 73 upvotes, and then feel like CDPR or Eurovision has to hire you.
Has to
they
hire
have
me.
to respect you. Yeah.
I don't even want him to hire me.
Whom would you send from Canada? I'd send myself.
Yeah.
I'd send myself.
Flake's new boys band.
Damn right. Exactly. What was it? What's Polish for boys to men? Like chłopaki I pan.
Chłopczyki mężczyźni.
Yeah, there you go. That's will be our. I'll get Shinmiri to come with it. We'll have a North American team. It'll be me, Shinmiri. I'll get McBeard out of hibernation.
Retirement.
Yeah. He'll come by. It'll be great. We'll do that.
Merchant. You need Merchant.
Oh well, I need a tenor. No, but Mogwai's European. Like, but so is Merchant. True. Merchant can't. Like, these are all Europeans. Like, we have to.
True.
Like, we're doing a North American invasion.
We'll just get him a visa or some type of
I don't know who else. Who else is from the States? Who? Bushy? I guess Bushy maybe. I suppose. But it's like midway through it, it's gonna be like. Midway through the song, he's gonna be like, "This sucks." I'll be like, "All right, thanks, Bushy."
This is shit.
Yeah. All right. Let's move on. What else we got?
When it comes to other questions from this dude, if you had to make a Witcher movie only from all the three games, like looking into Witcher 1, 2, and 3, if you took only the side quests, what would it be? Like, which direction would you go when it comes to Witcher? And there was there was an example from him saying that that would be nice to kind of do like a noir crime detective Geralt spin. And that's of course one of them for sure. But I feel like us here, we would just make a Geralt playing Gwent against different opponents and in different places. So this would be a mashup of all the Gwent battles that can happen, and we would pretty much make a spin, and this would be an animated Geralt. So it will be Yu-Gi-Oh! Gwent set, set in the Witcher universe with Geralt as the main protagonist. That's how I would spin it. I would do it totally. 10 out of 10 would be the best show.
I don't doubt it. Marvel did Marvel Noir series comic books back in the day, and they were excellent. It was a re-envisionment, like a reimagining of the characters and their powers and such. Like, Spider-Man didn't really have spider powers, in the traditional way, but he was a detective who like put on a mask and would like lurk in the shadows to catch people. And there was like one of the villains was like the Vulture, and the Vulture from the comics and the movies and whatever. But the Vulture in this case was merely somebody who was like a circus sideshow who was a cannibal and ate so there was no superpowers. It was just like,
I love it.
Yeah, it was excellent. There was
I love whatever they did always with the multiverse and the Spider-Verse. It's just freaking incredible. I remember when I used to watch the animated Spider-Man, there was this episode where you had Spider-Mans from different universes kind of come in, and they looked different. They had like, I still remember my favorite one was the silver like Spider-Man with like, did he have like the Doc Ock like
well, there's the Iron Spidey, but that one may have been after, because the Iron Spidey came out during the Civil War arc, which I believe was Civil War arc was, I think, like 2010-ish, around that time.
Yeah.
But the cartoon, like I think you're talking about the 90s cartoon.
Yes.
Yeah,
the one.
Maybe you're thinking about Spider-Man 2099, Miguel O'Hara, who's like the future Spidey, but I don't think he was silver. But there was all kinds of different. I remember that one. There was also
2099 was later. There was like a silver Spider-Man. I don't remember what it was.
Maybe it was like, there was a Spider-Man, I think, that was once possessed by the power cosmic. Like he became one of like the Four Horsemen, like the Heralds of Doom from like Galactus and stuff like that, like similar to what Silver Surfer is.
Yes, it was a silver armor that he had.
He may have become like he may have been possessed by the power cosmic, because I think that the cosmic Spider-Man is a thing, which is crazy, but yeah.
Actually, this is a one from this was an alternative reality one where he stops Uncle Ben from being killed, and he is a playboy, multi-billionaire. So pretty much he becomes Iron Man kind of in a way.
Okay.
So he has like this nice crazy armor on him.
Well, that makes sense.
And with he has like all the Spider-Man stuff. So like the strength, sticking to walls, agility and stuff like that. But he also has like advanced armor capabilities and all that cool stuff. So yeah.
There was
and he's engaged to Gwen Stacy, and that's
who he should be with. A lot of people don't realize that it's not Mary Jane, his true love. It's actually Gwen Stacy. There was a comic book that was released, like the What If series is now a show, right, on Disney Plus. But what people don't know is that this is a long running comic book series where they do like one-off issues of like What If, and one of them was, what if it was Aunt May who died instead of Uncle Ben? And they went down, and what they went down that road was that Peter Parker became very vengeful and became very aggressive and violent, because he didn't have the calmness and the serenity and like the presence that Aunt May had. That Uncle Ben fell into depression and couldn't deal with it. And Peter then went on a rampage to find out who did it and started like killing people, and he became a villain in himself. So yeah, very cool. Like the What If series are awesome. Yeah, it was great. Yeah. I think I still have that issue, and it's just it's not canon by any means, but none of the What If is. You like
to see a different spin on your favorite character, right?
Exactly. There's actually a really cool Superman story arc, because Superman came from space and landed in the middle of, I don't know where it was, like Ohio or Iowa or wherever the Clarks were. But what they said was,
Smallville.
Smallville, yeah. But imagine if it was 12 hours later, where the Earth had rotated halfway through, and he landed in Russia, which would have been on the other side, and he would have become... Yeah, so I think it was called Red Sun. So all these little minor details and the impacts that they have are very cool. So I like exploring those little what if situations, and those are always fun to digest. But when it comes to, if I were to make a Witcher movie or a TV show, I've never played the game, so I can't even tell you. I do the one where he fights the monsters. That's what I would say.
Oh, canon.
Yeah, got it. It is canon. All right, two more. This one from Michael Loda asking, orange juice with pulp or without?
Okay, this is a one that can divide us.
It could.
So,
yeah.
Like,
do you want to just go like say it like with or without on three? Like we go 1, 2, 3, and then say with or without. Okay, ready? 1, 2, 3. Without.
With. What?
Dude. Gross. Like, why? Why would you want to? It's like,
Oh, I just love that pulp, man.
oh
Oh
man. Like,
man.
I'm
Not only you drink it, but you get to bite into it.
yeah. That's not what we're trying to do here. Like, that's not the point. Is it's juice. It's juice. I don't need floaty
With
bits
the
in my
pulp.
juice. There's like an asteroid field in my orange juice. We don't need that. I don't need it.
I'm not very like strict about this. I tend to enjoy both versions, but I don't know, I like it with the pulp. Maybe it's because when I normally squeeze it, if I don't have something to kind of sift it through, I would just leave it in. But sometimes I like it smooth, so I kind of get that sometimes you don't want anything in it. But when it comes to like my overall preference, if I'm going to the shop to kind of get orange juice, I'll take the one with the pulp most likely.
It's a good move, I guess. Maybe I didn't know that you're like squeezing your own oranges at your house. Like that was.
Actually, we had like a squeezer in the office, and we would get fresh oranges, and I would just make orange juice out of that. Perfect CDPR.
Incredible. Incredible. That's
Yeah.
why you guys aren't
Oh,
getting
I'm too lazy.
Yeah, that's why you guys don't get premium tokens, because you have
Yeah.
like the people tending to the orchard of orange trees behind CDPR.
Exactly. And I'm just squeezing the juice instead of listening to your feedback.
Exactly. Give him feedback on how to properly squeeze an orange. He'll be like, "Oh, okay. Perfect. I'll listen."
Yeah.
Subscribe. All right, last one.
Oh, well, how does this one make it into our list?
You know why it makes it in
why.
here? Because I went copy and paste. That's how it was in here.
Shady Land Shark is asking on Reddit, when will a standard mode be added? Can't imagine how difficult it is to create cards now.
Oh, tell us.
It is difficult to create cards.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
Yeah, it's incredible. It's
what-
insane. It's almost as if other card games.
This is a question for Vlad and the design team.
Yeah,
I
Vlad,
don't
you
know.
listening, buddy? When?
Vlad, if you're listening, please answer in the
I'm just
comment
saying.
section down below.
I'm just saying, Vlad. Listen, Vlad plays Magic.
He
You know,
does.
Vlad knows all about standard rotation and
But Vlad mainly plays drafted Magic, though. Huh.
right. Oh, wow. more things that could possibly be changed and
See?
improved upon. Look, I put it in here because I just wanted to, because I thought it was fun to just go ahead and rehash.
Of course, I
But-
love you sticking standard rotation
Yeah.
everywhere.
And I love getting the messages of people telling me I'm stupid and wrong without any actual arguments. But for the, health and longevity of the game and the creative space necessary, I fully believe that a standard mode is necessary. And I've said it for 27 episodes now. So that's where we're at.
Yeah, this topic will always keep on coming back.
Absolutely.
Like, love standard rotation. Me, not so much, but I can be convinced.
Yeah, so I don't know what else we can go on. We did miss the last week. I was kind of busy. You were kind of busy. Everybody was so. I'm still busy, but I wanted to make sure that we got this under wraps. And I think that it was.
Love you, man.
I love it. Listen, I don't even
Love
start
doing this podcast.
I know.
So much fun.
Listen, if ever I'm no longer involved in Gwent, this podcast will live on in some way,
Yes.
form, or way. We don't know what.
We'll talk about card games. Even if we have to self-publish, we'll self-publish.
Yeah. Exactly. Mark this is gonna be like,
I'll just change my YouTube channel and I'll learn editing and stuff like that.
I'll do
We'll
it
be fine.
just for
Yeah.
us, and then it'll be 3-hour episodes every day. That's
Exactly. No one can tell us no.
nobody, not even you, Alias V, who's probably editing this right now. So
Yeah. We also love you.
we do immensely. All right. Yeah. So I will end this episode like I do every other week and say I love you, Pavel.
Love you too, man.
All right.
I was first to say it this
You
time.
were. I know you
Yeah.
snuck it in there. Not in the script, but
I know.
I'll talk to my agent and get this
Exactly.
rectified.
We'll hash it out between our agents.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll just not pick you up at the airport when you come visit.
Oh no.
No,
Come
you
on.
got it. You got it. I'm so excited. All right. Let me know when you're coming to visit so I can
Deal.
do the laundry and all that stuff. All right. Friends, thank you so much for listening to the Flurza experience. Again, don't forget to be kind to one another. And
You're not losing if you're learning.
booyah. Got 'em. And we love you all. So we'll see you next week on Flurza.
Exactly. Take care, everyone.